Many of us woke up this morning a little bit sluggish, a little bit tired after that late Sunday night football game last night. What a victory for the Philadelphia Eagles. And even though we were a little bit slow to start the day, you think about it, the Philadelphia Eagles are 10-1. That immediately gives you energy. So if that gets you fired up, because there's so much to be excited about with the Birds right now, I want you to hit that thumbs up icon and like the video, because it's another Victory Monday. With that, let's start the show. So much to talk about here on Philadelphia Eagles Now by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Senior. Hope all of you are having a great start to your week. You had a good Thanksgiving weekend with your families, which all wrapped up with an Eagles dub. Today's show, presented by True Classic Tees. Really good Cyber Monday and still Black Friday deals available for you. We'll tell you more about True Classic Tees coming up around the corner. TrueClassicTees.com/chat for 20% off. We begin with this, and this is really huge news for the Philadelphia Eagles pertaining to their defense. CJ Gardner-Johnson, did he hint on Instagram that he's going to be out for multiple weeks? He suffered a rib injury in that victory against the Green Bay Packers, and if he is out for a little while, there's no question about it. This is going to be a loss for this Eagles secondary, which throughout the year has been one of the best in the NFL, thanks in part to C.J. Gardner-Johnson. Still can't believe how Howie Roseman just fleeced the New Orleans Saints for a guy who's been an awesome playmaker for this team. And the caption for C.J. Gardner-Johnson in this Instagram post that he posted just moments ago, "I'm passionate about what I do. I'll be back." So while Nick Sirianni did not offer an update on C.J. Gardner-Johnson during his press conference on Monday, it looks as though CeeDee Duece gave us an update himself and is going to be out for an extended period of time, a couple of weeks. I'm sure Sirianni later in the week will have another update, but nonetheless, it's big news for the Birds and a monster loss for that defense. This year, if you look at his Pro Football Focus grades, they're bad, they're below league average, but that's why sometimes numbers and analytics don't tell the full story. Because C.J. Gardner-Johnson has made huge plays for this football team, kind of changing the momentum in a lot of instances, finding himself in the right place at the right time, and he's been all over the field. And keep in mind, heading into this year, more than 1,000 snaps at nickel corner, only about 80-plus snaps at safety throughout his career. He's played primarily on the back end, and for him taking on a new position, he's played pretty damn good football. 50 solo tackles, an NFL high, 6 interceptions, 4 tackles for loss, 8 pass breakups. Big numbers for him in a contract year. I think he's going to get paid, and I think it's going to be important for the Eagles after this year to pay him. This is a guy that throughout his career has been very durable, but you saw that hit that he took late in the game, kind of a sandwich hit there, slow to get up. Nick Sirianni had to help him off the field. You had a feeling at that moment, as we talked about during our watch party, it could be serious. And with the rib fracture, he would be out for a couple of weeks at the very least, you would imagine. Show some love to CeeDee Duece. We appreciate him for playing great ball for Philadelphia. Wish him a speedy recovery by typing that jersey number into the comment section, 23. It's icy because of Michael Jordan, but rocking those black unis, it was looking icy, and it's always icy in the midnight green as well. What does this mean for this Eagles defense? If C.J. Gardner-Johnson is out for a little bit, more snaps for Kevon Wallace, more snaps for Reed Blankenship. We saw the good and bad for Reed Blankenship last night. As the UDFA, good story. Guy was able to crack the roster. He was able to, on his interception, shift from the left safety spot to the right, and then he read the eyes of Aaron Rodgers, broke free, and had his first career INT off one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. That was the good. The bad. A bad angle on Christian Watson as he took that ball to the house late in the game to make it a one-score game. Things started to get a little bit hairy. I think that's more so a product of inexperience for Reed Blankenship, but you'll see more of him, kind of a safety linebacker hybrid with this physical profile. So with the discussion of C.J. Gardner-Johnson, let's get to something that is kind of hot on the internet streets right now. CeeDee Duece, he's going to be out. Well, why don't the Philadelphia Eagles sign a former Eagle great to fill in for C.J. Gardner-Johnson by the name of Malcolm Jenkins? Now, he did do a recent interview with John Clark. He didn't indicate that he wants to come back, retired in March after 13 seasons, 6 of them spent with the Philadelphia Eagles. During his time in the city of brotherly love, one of the best safeties in the NFL, one of the best defensive players all time in the history of the Birds. 3 Pro Bowls and that Super Bowl championship. He did admit that right now on game days, he still watches his Eagles. Spends a lot of time in Philadelphia, does a lot of charity work in Philadelphia, has a house in Philadelphia. Jenk, you want to come back? Come back to the Birds, help this team throughout this stretch run, and maybe you get your 3rd Super Bowl championship. He has 1 with the New Orleans Saints, 1 with the Birds. Let's make it 2 in the city of Philadelphia. His Eagles stats over his 6 seasons in Philly, 96 games played. He never missed a game throughout his career with the Birds, played almost every single snap as well, and played special teams. That's why this guy is so widely respected. He had an impact on that locker room like Brian Dawkins back in the day. 11 interceptions, a big-time player on the back end, could also play in the box against the run, cover some receivers and tight ends out of that slot spot. That's what allowed him to have 58 pass breakups, 32 tackles for loss, and 406 solo tackles. Not only was he durable, he was consistent. He was a great player. He was a great leader. He exemplified what all players and how they should carry themselves when they play football in this city, and that's why he's deemed as an Eagles all-time great. Now, we're only getting started on today's show, but right now, before we pivot gears to a Jordan Davis update, we'll talk Jalen Hurts. I just want to show some love to the fam, to all my Bulls out there. If you're subscribed to Eagles Now, I greatly appreciate the support. And if you are, type real one in the chat. If you aren't subscribed, do so right now. We picked up 1,500 subscribers over the last 28 days, and my goal is to make this continuously the best Eagles channel on YouTube. We're doing that right now. This is the standard with videos every single day, so lock us in and hit that subscribe button. As I mentioned up the top of the show, Philadelphia Eagles Now is presented by True Classic Tees. 25% off if you use the code CHAT at trueclassictees.com/chat. Cyber Monday deals, Black Friday deals available. I'm rocking one of their polos here. I'm a huge polo guy, and this one's so comfortable with that athletic material. The holidays are almost here, and there is plenty of t-shirt cheer thanks to our sponsor, True Classic Tees. Fellas, we have the perfect gift for your wish list. True Classic Tees are a gift for you, for her, and a great present for any guy in your life. True Classic is on a mission to maximize men's confidence by making them look good and feel good. Trust me when I say this. This is a gift that the ladies will appreciate, no doubt about it. True Classic has already helped over 2 million men look great in their tees as well as their polos, and now you can save big while you do so. 25% off using that promo code CHAT. And if you're rocking a Santa bod during this holiday season, I know I ate well throughout Thanksgiving. True Classic might be the Christmas miracle you've been waiting for. Almost all men's t-shirts are designed to look good to certain body types. Not for True Classic. They design t-shirts to make the fellas of all sizes out there feel confident in their clothing. We'll put that link in the comment section. We'll put it in the description for all of the Philadelphia faithful. All right, let's get to Jordan Davis now, and then we'll talk a little Jalen Hurts versus Patrick Mahomes for an NFL MVP conversation. Side-by-side numbers. Very fascinating on that front. So Nick Sirianni, he didn't have an update on CJ Gardner-Johnson. He did not say whether or not Jordan Davis, who's eligible to come off IR this week, will practice on Wednesday when the team returns to the NovaCare complex after having a couple of off days after that ground and pound dominant win against the Packers. If Jordan Davis can come back this upcoming week against Derrick Henry and the Tennessee Titans and even give this defense, let's say 15, 20 snaps, that's a huge lift. This guy against the run in his rookie campaign, very, very rock solid. 77.7 grade. The league average is 70. Overall, great in his rookie year, 78.4. Pass rush doesn't really do much there. But as I've continued to say, you bring in Jordan Davis, you get him back, you bring in, I should say, Linval Joseph as well as Ndamukong Suh. They become depth pieces now with Jordan Davis, Javon Hargrave, as well as Fletcher Cox, and the depth along this defensive line immediately gets bolstered and it gets better. I want to round out the show with talking about Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts continues to shine, and a continued theme that we've been having and a continued theme that we've been talking about on the show this year, Jalen Hurts is right in the thick of the MVP race. Who would have thought that Jalen Hurts would be in the MVP conversation? Well, he is, especially after another great performance outplaying Aaron Rodgers on Sunday Night Football. Fourth quarterback in the history of this great game with 150 passing and 150 rushing yards in a single game. And this MVP race right now, it's going down to Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes, with Josh Allen falling off just a little bit, especially with that Bills record. The side-by-side comparison here, Hurts against Mahomes. Hurts, 10-1. Total touchdowns here, passing and running, 25-3. Passing yards, of course, Mahomes has the lead by 1,000, but Hurts is crushing him with rushing touchdowns as well as rushing yards, nearly 600 at 274. And Jalen Hurts is completing 67% of his balls, whereas Patrick Mahomes is at 66%. The Chiefs are red hot right now. They're 9-2. Mahomes has thrown for 30 touchdowns, or combined for 30 touchdowns and 8 picks, 29 through the air, 1 on the ground. But if the Philadelphia Eagles, led by Jalen Hurts, continue to play at this rate, and they continue to ball out and play excellent football. Everybody thought that the Chiefs were going to be a Super Bowl contender. Not many people thought that the Eagles would be. I had said this going into the year. If Jalen Hurts takes that next step as a passer, then the Eagles can win their second Lombardi trophy in the history of this great franchise. That's only if Hurts takes that step. A lot of detractors out there did not see Hurts doing that, and they didn't see him making these strides and these improvements. And I kind of had this conversation when it comes down to MVPs. You take that individual player off that team, the Eagles suck, the Chiefs suck. But Jalen Hurts has come out of nowhere to have this season. And without him, the Eagles would be in a worse spot, in my opinion, than the Kansas City Chiefs, because Mahomes is already a bona fide MVP candidate, whereas Hurts, man, he's entered that conversation with a boom this year. So I voiced my opinions on this. Now I want to open up the floor to you. Who should win MVP? JH for Jalen Hurts, PM for Patrick Mahomes. Hurts was a part of a dominant Eagles ground game last night that when you look at these numbers right here, it really is crazy to see what the Eagles did. And the fact that, I can't really put it another way, they kicked the Green Bay Packers' ass last night on Sunday Night Football. When it came down to a trench fight, the Packers ran away, they were scared, and they wanted nothing to do with that Eagles offensive line. Team numbers here, 49 carries, 363 yards, most in franchise history, going all the way back to the late 1940s when all they did was run the football. An astounding 7.4 yards per catch and 3 touchdowns on the ground, 2 for Miles Sanders, 1 for Kenny Gainwell. And speaking of Miles Sanders, really good numbers against the Packers here. 21 carries, 143 yards, average yards per carry, 6.8 with 2 tutties, a career high in rushing yards for Sanders. And it's funny, man, there's a lot of running backs who are really breaking out in contract years. Miles Sanders, one of them, putting together the best overall campaign of his career. A lot of that due to the fact that he's been able to stay healthy. And a guy like Josh Jacobs, 300 total all-purpose yards yesterday in that win against the Seahawks, which included that long walk-off touchdown. Do want to appreciate everybody for tuning into the watch party last night. Once again, it was a blast, $1,000 in Super Chats, and we were able to chop it up, talk Eagles football all throughout the week. To those of you who continue to support the channel by liking our videos, commenting, subscribing, as well as sharing the videos, we do appreciate that. You're certainly real ones. As a guy who grew up in the Philly area to talk about this football team, it is a blessing, and I enjoy spending all my days with y'all.